The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system is the funny guy. Okay, how does it increase your cardiac output? What is the mechanism, all right, by which your cardiac output goes up when it comes to the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system? Okay, let's give you a scenario. Now, let's say you had to make salt solution, maybe for a mouthwash or something. Okay, if you put in too much salt within the solution, this is what your face is going to look like. Okay, very, very, very salty. It's when the solution is very concentrated, this is what your face will look like. So what will you do in this case? You're going to pour a lot of water in the cup so that it dilutes it so that it doesn't look salty and you can regain your smile. Okay, your face doesn't look like this anymore. So that's what happens with the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system tells the kidney that put more salt in the blood. Let's make the blood more salty. So once the blood is salty, the body can't take it. Okay, so water will have to follow to dilute the salty blood. So if you are a vampire and you taste the blood of someone whose renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system has been activated, you realize that it is salty. And remember, this is just a hypothetical scenario. I didn't say go and drink anybody's blood and taste it too. No, that's not what I said. I am just saying, okay, this is just a way to help you to remember that once RAAS is activated, the blood gets salty. All right. Once RAAS is activated, the blood gets salty. And wherever salt goes, water must follow. You see. So that's what happens with the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. If you test the blood of someone whose RAS has been activated, this is the face you're going to get. That's if you're a vampire. But please, I'm not asking you to be vampires. Okay. All right. So what happens is that water has to dilute the salty blood. Okay. So I think it's a very, very, very smart way of increasing cardiac output. And God is so wonderful for doing it like that. I think it's epic. Okay, so that is what happens with the RAS system. There is salt and water retention. Okay, now I just want to give you a brief overview of the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Okay, just the basics, just the skeleton, the foundation. All right. Once you are able to get the basics for the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, you'll be able to fill in all the details and it doesn't look as complex as it usually looks. All right. Now, let's look at the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. I mentioned it again because we are looking at the names, the individual names of the RAS system. So let's start with renin. All right. What is renin? Now, the kidney is also known as renal. If you say renal, you're usually referring to the kidney, isn't it? Okay. Now, a lot of our hormones or proteins, all right, usually end with the letters IN. For example, oxytocin or insulin. You see that it ends with I and N. All right. So the word renin, the hormone renin, comes from renal. You see, so renal hormone, renal protein. So it's just a combination of words. Okay. You see, I like playing with words. It helps you to remember where the term comes from and then what happens, usually with that term. All right. So renal. So renin. So it's a kidney hormone. Okay. So that's the where renin comes from. Okay. So we've tackled the renin aspect of the RAS. Okay. Then we go to angiotensin, which is the first A in RAS. Okay, what does angiotensin mean? Blood vessel, all right. When you hear angio stands for blood vessel. Okay, so that is sorted. Now, tensin, all right. Tensin comes from the word tension. You see, so tension. So a tension hormone. So tensin. Remember, we have an IN at the end of the word. So tension hormone. So tensin. So angiotensin, blood vessel tension. So blood vessel tension causes vasoconstriction. Anything that will put tension in your blood vessels will cause vasoconstriction. All right. But remember that we have angiotensin 1 and angiotensin 2. Okay. But always remember, there is a saying that says that two heads are better than one. Okay. So two heads are always better than one head. All right. So angiotensin 2 is stronger than angiotensin 1. So it is angiotensin 2 that does the vasoconstriction. It is angiotensin 2. All right. So remember the word tension. Tension causes vasoconstriction. Remember this, Pastor? It is getting tensious. Yes. All right. So that's how you remember angiotensin, all right, causing vasoconstriction. When there's a lot of tension, there will be vasoconstriction. Okay, now we go to the main guy, the guy that does the magic of putting salt in the blood. It is called aldosterone. Okay, the guy is called aldosterone. So aldosterone, there are hormones that end with the letters O N E. For example, testosterone. All right. So we also have aldosterone. Okay, so this is the salt hormone. This is the one that puts the salt in your blood for the blood to become salty. Once you have aldosterone being activated and the blood gets salty, water has to follow, isn't it? So that's just a brief skeleton of the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. You just need to remember these three things: renin, angiotensin 2, and then aldosterone. Once you remember these three, then you can fill in the other details of the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. If you cannot remember anything at all when it comes to the renin angiotensin aldosterone system, you just need to remember three things: renin, angiotensin 2, and aldosterone. Okay. Renin is the kidney hormone. Angiotensin 2 is what causes the tension within the blood vessels and causes vasoconstriction. And then aldosterone is what puts the salt in your blood. Okay. So we have seen that the kidneys, okay, increases your cardiac the kidneys would increase your cardiac output, all right, because of the activation of the renin angiotensin aldosterone system, all right. But specifically, the focus is on aldosterone because aldosterone is what causes there to be sodium retention. Once you have salt being retained, water has to follow for the dilution, okay, so that you can have a good balance. All right, so that is how the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system increases your cardiac output. All right, it does so by focusing on the kidney.